Here is the new EQA from Mercedes, and this is Fast Facts. How many miles a year would you say the average UK person does in their car? The average might very well shock you. In my extensive investigation into the new Mercedes electric cars, I've noticed most of them have performed better in terms of range and battery usage than many others. I have a theory about why that might be, but it's only a theory and one that might get me into trouble. You can tell this is the new EQA over the old one because this has a continuous light strip on the front and on the back. The purpose of that is just to say I have the new one. Another way you can tell that it's the new one is these amazing 20-inch wheels. Now 18 is the standard, but I would have 20s because these are just beautiful. I think there's actually two designs of this specific design of wheel. Do you need 20-inch wheels on a car this size? No, but if they look this good, then possibly yes. Actually, these tyres are normally the Eco Contact 6, which is a special EV tyre. I'm very interested in all this because they're supposed to be much quieter, so I'm definitely interested in trying these out. Back to the tyres in a moment, but first, the answer to the question, how many miles does a UK person do in their car? Well, the average is 15 miles a day, 127 miles a week, 550 a month, or 6,000 miles a year. That is very surprising. And also, did you know less than 5% of people do more than 15,000 miles a year? And this is interesting for charging because Mercedes say they've made changes to the aero of this car and some of the technology which shuts down the features inside the car to improve range, going from 260 to 347. And if that was achievable, then you'd only need to charge this 19 times a year. That's 1.5 times a month. And you might not even need a home charger then. If you do, and you're self-employed or a business, you'll get 100% allowance against profit on fitting one and paying for the car for the first year. You'll also get 100% allowance on the electricity you put in it, and even from my research, on the insurance. According to most manufacturers, these special EV tyres have two distinct functions. The first is quietness. It has a polyurethane foam inside the tyre, which is supposed to reduce the noise by an incredible 9 decibels, which is about half as much noise as you would hear with a normal tyre. There's also another layer inside the tyre which acts as a sealant, and that reduces the likelihood of you getting a puncture by 80%. And if you do get a puncture, well, it's a run flat. Here's one of the new steering wheels, and this is the way you would control it. Obviously, there's 4 prongs that do a different thing each. This is extremely soft and smooth and fat. I love it. The controls for the MBUX, various ways of doing it. Now you can do it with your voice and obviously on here, but the voice MBUX system that was already good can now learn your voice using AI and get better as you progress with the car. This MBUX system is a little bit small compared to other cars, but again, it's the entry level. Do you need a massive screen? And again, it's scaled back. I'd rather have maybe a little bit more vision actually than just have an enormous computer tablet in front of me. Finally, interestingly, the Burmester, which was already good, is now even better because they've now put in Dolby Atmos. They call it luxury you can hear, an advance that you'll find very welcome for your favourite Spotify playlist you'll be listening to on your soothing journey home, partly powered by Mercedes' class-leading autopilot, subject to specification. It's not called that though. Of course, being a Mercedes, you do still get disco mode, but it is now pared down, so you'll get the lighting behind the vents. Which cars in the world have lighting behind the vents? Only Mercedes. You get 2 little strips down the center console and a little bit on the doors and a little bit over there, so it's not too overwhelming. Sometimes the disco mode can get too much. That is true, but we also secretly like the inside of our cars to look like the Magaluf Strip. Elon is the same. He has succumbed to this shiny thing and put lights in his Model 3. And that brings me on to this theory. Is it possible that because Elon and Mercedes were all mates together and partnered at the very beginning,
that now, because of this friendship, maybe some of Elon's technology is accidentally finding its way to Mercedes.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again, please?
On now to songs, because the car likes to sing songs for you. They call it soundscapes, but it's not loud. They've scaled that back because after a while it can be annoying. Anyway, look, when you press this dynamic button, you get this: Comfort, Eco, Sport and Individual. And of course, these all go with the different soundscapes within the car, but they are a little more quiet.
When you go shopping, you can carry more stuff in this with the seats down than you can with the Golf with the seats down. That's pretty good, as is the fact that it will park itself for you if you want to show off. However, it does still enter into the luxury VED in the UK by just £495. So could they have shaved that off the list price to save us here in this country another £600 a year? For other prices, look at this brilliant website where you can work out the differences between cash, PCP and lease and compare prices from the most retailers and lenders in the country.
So what is it like to drive? Well, there's a lot here. First of all, when you first get in it, you're aware of the quality, and in particular when you pull out of a car park or your space, that first few seconds of turning the wheel is sublime. It's so silky. It's like if you can imagine stirring a beautiful pot of warm, silky chocolate when you're on a calorie deficit, right? How nice that is to stir it. That's what this is. And then you've got things like the suspension. So normally in an electric car, you will feel the weight, you will think, okay, and then you get what, it's a journalist term, it's called knobbly suspension, where the car just kind of is a bit unsettled all the time. It's not bad, but it's unsettled. You don't get any of that in this. They've really thought about it. So on this road, for example, everything is more of it's kind of this move. Very soothing and expensive. I think also it's worth mentioning how quiet this is, because yes, it's not the quietest, but for where it is on the scale, so it's kind of the entry-level electric car, this is really quiet. There's definitely a sense of shutting the world out in this. Yeah.
Back to my investigations then, and although I shouldn't really say this, at the time of uploading, there are two electric car makers, for me, that are actually my favourite, and I trust, and if I could make the numbers work, would get. One of them is a Mercedes, and I know which Mercedes it would be, but that's another video.